Good morning, viewers. India and the United States have recently taken a major step in strengthening their trade relationship, with tariffs being reduced to 18%. What does this really mean for the businesses and the consumers? To decode this, today we have with us our expert analyst, Professor Nageshwar Garu. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Sir, in simple terms, what does this latest India-US trade deal mean to us?
The first problem is nobody knows whether there is a deal or not.
Okay.
That Donald Trump in his tweet said India and US agreed for a trade deal. If you look at the Prime Minister Modi's tweet, there is no mention of deal. Look at the Foreign Minister's tweet, there is only mention of trade, but there is no word called deal or agreement. But Piyush Goyal, Union Commerce Minister, and also the Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw talked about deal, and Piyush Goyal officially said it is a deal. Surprisingly, in the same statement, Piyush Goyal said the final aspects are being negotiated and the full text will then be kept in public domain. I don't understand how can you strike a deal without final negotiations. I really don't understand. Can a marriage take place without fixing or arranging for the marriage? So, the Union Commerce Minister on one hand says a trade deal was struck between India and US. On the other hand, he says final things are being negotiated. I don't understand how can there be a deal without final negotiations. Then Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was interviewed by Navika Kumar. I saw it in Mirror TV yesterday. It's a Times Now group channel. Surprisingly, Sitharaman says she is not aware of details of the deal. I can't understand how can Finance Minister be kept in dark about such a significant deal which has a major bearing on the economy. And the Finance Minister herself said in a national television that she is not aware of details, she has not seen the details. She is a member of the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, she is a member of the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, she is a member of the Cabinet Committee on Security Affairs, and she is such a senior minister, and that too trade deal which is related to her field, her ministry. And so therefore Finance Minister is uninformed. So how can there be, well, I don't really understand what this deal is all about, whether it is only a mini deal or a final deal, whether it only pertains to tariffs or that does it cover everything else. So this is an absolutely mystery that we'll have to wait and see what kind of things will come out. Though there are several unanswered questions. Trump says Modi has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. The Union Commerce Minister is silent on that, Prime Minister is silent on that, everybody is silent on that. Trump claims that Modi has agreed to buy $500 billion of worth American products, and even in addition to this, some more. Modi, Piyush Goyal, Jaishankar, Nirmala Sitharaman, everybody is silent, nobody knows what's going to happen. So there is only one talk, that is Trump has announced that his government will reduce the tariffs on India to 18%, and India will reduce to 0%. Interestingly, this point is missing in Modi's tweet. Modi did not either confirm or reject the duty-free access, zero duty, which India has supposedly promised to United States. So we can't understand what kind of mystery all this is about. So when Trump says India has agreed for zero duty, Government of India doesn't mention it, Prime Minister Modi doesn't mention it. So we'll have to wait and see till this mystery is unraveled.
So considering that there will be a deal, so which sectors will be the biggest winners due to this reduction of tariffs, sir?
Well, obviously, if it is a full deal, yes, at least one thing is confirmed. Both the Prime Minister Modi has confirmed, President Trump has confirmed that the US will reduce the tariffs to 18%. That point is confirmed. There is no dispute about it. So the remaining things are not confirmed. For example, Trump says India will buy American agriculture products. Yesterday, Piyush Goyal said no question of allying in agriculture and dairy. So, but one thing both the countries, leaders of both the nations are publicly acknowledging is the fact that US will reduce the tariffs to 18%. Well, that will certainly benefit certain sectors like textiles, apparels, leather, the home decor, organic chemicals, rubber goods. So, the gems and jewelry, these are hard hit by American sanctions. So, these are all the labor intensive sectors. So, for example, in Surat, there has been a massive layoff of workers, and even school dropouts have increased. So, the recent data presented to the parliament revealed that there is a sharp decline in this sharp increase in the school dropouts, indicating a large scale layoff of workers, because Surat is the above India's diamond industry. So, therefore, these sectors will certainly benefit, because India will have 18%, India will face 18% tariff, and as the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal himself said, that this is lesser than what is being tariffed on our neighbors and also on our competitors. It is true. For example, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka has 20% duty, Indonesia, Pakistan, Malaysia, and Thailand has 19% duty, Vietnam has 20%, Myanmar and Laos has 40%, Mexico has 25%, Canada has 35%. So, compared to all these countries, India and Brazil has 50%. Compared to all these nations, India has 18%, China has 30%. So, that is true, but still there are certain countries which are tariff less. For example, UK has only 10%, Europe has only 12%, Japan and South Korea face only 15%. So, we will have to get the reply from the government of India. Why did it fail to negotiate it to 10% like US UK deal? Because when India is reportedly, supposedly offering 0% duty, why America should impose 18%? Is this reciprocity? For example, look at European Union deal. And notwithstanding all the other criticisms or the other dimensions of the India-EU deal, the fact remains that there is a reciprocity in the deal. India will reduce tariff on 97% of European exports to us. Similarly, European Union will reduce on tariffs on zero tariffs or reduce tariffs on 99% of Indian exports. So, there is a reciprocity 99-97%. But where is the reciprocity in this supposed India-US trade deal, which is touted to be the greatest deal? So, where is the question here? So, Trump is still imposing 18% tariff. India has agreed, as per Trump, to zero duty on many items. Well, Piyush Goyal also does not deny that. He only says sensitive sectors like agriculture, dairy are spared. But the Trump says India will buy even agriculture products also.
Right. So, sir, being so aggressive for the last few months, why do you think that the US has reduced the tariff, and how significant is this cut in the global trade terms?
Well, that is the Trump's nature. He exerts the maximalist pressure, and if a countries do not yield to the pressure, so he will come down. This happened with China. This not happened with India alone. In China, he has imposed 240% tariff and now come down to 30%. And European Union, last July, they have agreed to a trade deal wherein European Union exports will be taxed at around 12%. And subsequently, on the Greenland issue, Trump threatened to impose 10% more, and even announced that he will increase the tariffs on European Union products to 25%. European Union is a group of 27 nations. So, subsequently has again withdrawn that. He said no tariffs on European Union on Greenland. So, this is Trump's character. He imposes maximum pressure. He tests the patience and resilience of nations and leaders. If they succumb, he will make them to crawl. If they do not succumb, he will immediately retreat. That is the character of Trump. So therefore, in India also he has gone up to 50%. But the point is, India could have waited for a couple of months, because the Russian, if the Ukraine war ends, automatically the 25% tariffs imposed due to Russian oil imports will go automatically. Similarly, the US Supreme Court is hearing the case. Well, according to the American Constitution, the president doesn't have power to impose unilateral sweeping tariffs on all the nations. So that is the power of the Congress, not the president. But president used a archaic law called International Economic Emergency Powers Act. So using this act, citing trade deficit, Trump said this is an emergency situation, otherwise American economy will collapse. So this the lower courts have already objected to president using powers under International Economic Emergency Powers Act, and the issue is before Supreme Court. Some of the judges who are known to be conservative, who are even appointed by the President Trump himself, have expressed skepticism on the constitutional powers of the president to impose such tariffs. Even President Trump has said that there will be a very big problem if US Supreme Court invalidates these tariffs. So that's the second. Third is there are several nations which are still resisting. Look at Brazil. Brazil is not a bigger nation or a more powerful nation than India. Notwithstanding the 50% tariff, Brazil is resisting. And look at, forget about China. China is anyhow resisting. So you have countries like South Africa resisting. So India should have taken clue from that. So such a nation aspiring to be the global power cannot succumb to Trump's tantrums like this.
So, moving on, sir, do you think that this tariff reduction, how significant this tariff reduction is going to make Indian exports in the US market? Is it going to be competitive in the US market?
Well, that is again a difficult question. Tariffs is only one aspect of that. You asked a very interesting question. Will it make Indian goods competitive? But the problem is tariffs is only one aspect of it, Yashaswini. The other aspects are non-tariff barriers, like sanitary, phytosanitary. I will give you an example. For example, carpets are exported from Eluru in Andhra Pradesh even up to United States. So from Andhra Pradesh we export carpets. Well, United States imposed sanctions on those carpets, claiming that child labor is used to produce these carpets. So to stop the child labor, we will not import your carpets. Similarly, citing environmental clauses, citing labor standards. So US has been blocking India's exports and anti-dumping duty. For example, on steel and aluminum, US has imposed anti-dumping duties. Anti-dumping essentially mean if there is a large scale inflow of goods from one particular country at a very cheaper level, the domestic industry will be impacted adversely. So then that government imposes anti-dumping duties. So tariff is only one aspect of the trade barriers. So there are other host of trade barriers. Not only that, there are other aspects like H1B visa. Trump did not say anything about it. So $1 lakh on H1B visa. There is an attempt to scrap the OPT facility available for Indian students completing their studies in US. So there are certain other irritants. So that's the first factor. So the first factor is, so if what will happen if Trump imposes non-tariff barriers like citing environmental clauses, citing labor standards, imposing anti-dumping duties. That is the number one problem. Number two, Trump has a tendency to link trade with non-trade issues. For example, he linked trade with the Greenland in the case of European Union. So he said if the European Union doesn't resist, if the European Union continues to resist Greenland's accession to US, then I will impose 10% tariff. What is the relationship between trade and Greenland? I don't understand. Even on Operation Sindhu, Trump claimed that he has made India and Pakistan to end the war using the trade weapon. So for every damn thing Trump says trade. So tomorrow he may even link tariff. So allow me to mediate in Kashmir, otherwise I will increase the tariff. So that kind of a problem will also be there. Don't buy any defense equipment from Russia, otherwise I will increase the tariff. So that is the second aspect of that. Third aspect is that even if we are ready to trade, the US should be ready to transfer the technology, especially in the technology areas. There has been a history of sanctions on India, even right from 1969 when India started its first nuclear reactor, Tarapur. So there were sanctions on India's supercomputer, there were sanctions on India's cryogenic technologies. So we have faced a lot of sanctions in the past too. So they are nothing to do with the tariffs as such. So no guarantee that Americans will actually transfer the technology. They may sell the product. Selling a product is different from technology. There is another problem. For example, Trump has threatened Apple. If you do not manufacture in America, we'll impose tariff on you. So these kind of challenges are also there. This is not a tariff issue. Apple is an American company. So President of the United States has every right to stop Apple from investing abroad. So that has nothing to do with tariffs. So all these threats still remain. Even if India agrees for a zero duty on American products, there is no guarantee that the Indian exports will be competitive in American economy. There are also the several other competitors. For example, India, you take the textiles and apparel sector. Not just India that sells exports to America, Sri Lanka exports, Vietnam exports, Bangladesh exports. So on our products 18% or their products 19-20%. It hardly makes any difference. So there is every possibility that Indian products can be still blocked. And what is the guarantee that Trump will stand on his commitment? That is the nature of Trump. We have seen how he has been doing somersaults in many aspects. So India should be wary of Trump's hypocrisy, Trump's duplicity.
Agree. So do you see any short-term revenue loss for India due to this lower tariffs, or the high trade volumes, are they going to compensate?
Well, the problem is nobody knows the details. When the finance minister of India doesn't know details, how can I know the details? So when the commerce minister says joint text is still not available, still not finalized, forget about available, final details are still being negotiated, how can Nageshwar still talk about the loss and gain and the balance sheet? But certainly if India agrees to zero duty on American exports, then this will hard hit India's agriculture, India's industry. Because, for example, look at agriculture. So even in the India-European trade deal also, we have excluded the core agriculture products. Well, some like European olive oil, etc., etc. That is not a big problem for India because we don't produce olive oil so much. So, for example, even in the case of the United States, we have already registered tariffs on almonds, walnuts, which are not a big production base in India. But if we agree to zero duties on agriculture, which Trump claims, which Commerce Minister denies, we really don't know. But I don't take Commerce Minister denial seriously also, because on August 15th, Prime Minister Modi said, addressing from the ramparts of Red Fort, that I will strongly protect our farmers and our dairy farmers, Pashupalakau. But what did he do? This he said on August 15th. No question of surrendering the interest of farmers and our dairy producers for any trade deal. I may face any pressure, I will remain like a wall to protect their interest. This is what the Prime Minister said on August 15th. On August 18th, Modi government issued a circular removing the 11% import duty on cotton. As a result, cotton prices plunged in India, farmers suffered a lot, so this happened. So given this experience between what has been publicly proclaimed and what has been practiced, classic case is the cotton. So today Trump says India agreed to buy, Modi agreed to buy agriculture products. Commerce Minister says no question of concessions in the sensitive sectors. Whom to believe? Normally we should not believe Trump. I am not believing Trump. I am only believing what was the experience. Why did Prime Minister say he will remain like a wall to protect the interest of farmers on August 15th, on August 18th? So surreptitiously you have issued a circular removing the 11% import duty on cotton. So given this experience, if American cotton, American soya, American corn enters Indian market, I think it will be a huge blow to the Indian farmers. And if American dairy products enter India, it will be a massive adverse impact on Indian dairy producers, because dairy is the second largest source of employment after agriculture in India. So this will impact India's most vulnerable sections. In the dairy sector, there is another problem also. There is the religious cultural dimensions, because a lot of animal byproducts are fed to cattle in America. And in agriculture, there is another problem other than the prices. So there are a lot of compromises made on genetically modified technologies in America. So they allow genetically modified food in the modification food chain. India is very strict on that. So if the GM technologies enter the food chain of India, it will have a long-term irreversible impact. So in case if India has agreed to buy American products in agriculture, dairy, that will be a death knell to our farmers. I am not talking about other sectors. There may be many other sectors which will be adversely impacted. Well, India may gain in textiles, leather, gems and jewelry. Well, that anyhow we have ensured their interest in the Indo-European deal also. Right. Why should I again compromise with US for that?
I agree. So, this reduction of tariff or the deal, do you see it as a mere economic move, or it is more of a strategic geopolitical partnership?
Even if it is a strategic geopolitical partnership also, it is disturbing. So any trade cannot be completely insulated from the geopolitics. But it will be much more disturbing. For example, Trump claims that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. Well, what will happen to India-Russia relations? So this is a time-tested friendship. So we not only buy oil from Russia, we will buy defense equipment from Russia. For example, the Russian-made S-400 was a big saver for us during the Operation Sindoor. It had made a very big benefit for us. It had provided. Even Army Chief has agreed to this. So now India is negotiating buying S-500. So you may remember United States imposing sanctions on S-400 under the Countering American Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, CARSA Act. So India got a waiver, but that waiver will not be available every time. So India-Russia relations will be at stake. For example, we have agreed to buy Venezuelan oil. That's what Trump says. This raises serious questions about endorsing American unilateral autocratic action on Venezuela. So that is again a very, very big geopolitical dimension. So these are all certain issues which India has to address, because of India has a great opportunity to unite all these nations who are hard hit by America. The European Union, Canada, Brazil. Unfortunately, we have lost that opportunity. Canadian Prime Minister in Davos appealed for a third path to countries like in Canada and India. But we have given up that kind of thing. For example, Chabahar port is a very, very important, strategically important port for India, in Iran. This port links Indian western coast to Iran, bypassing Pakistan, and it takes further to Central Asia, to Russia, to Europe. It's considered as India's north-south corridor. This is very important for us. So, due to Trump's pressures, we have completely withdrawn from the Chabahar port, and this budget doesn't allocate even a single rupee to Chabahar port. Even in the last year budget's revised estimate, there are $400 million budget allocation. This budget is completely silent on Chabahar allocation, which clearly indicates that India is compromising strategic interest also, which has a very serious geopolitical ramifications to arrive at a trade deal with the United States.
So what are the key risks or challenges that you foresee if suppose this agreement is set, and to implement this trade deal, how can we implement it effectively? Do you see any kind of risk or challenges?
There are many risks. For example, there are risks because Trump's demands list is elastic. He will not stop at one place. We have seen with many other countries he deals with. Right. So Trump, especially when you deal from a position of vulnerability or weakness, he will exploit it further. So that's number one. So number two, Prime Minister Modi endorsed Trump's leadership in peace also, which is absolutely objectionable. So I don't understand how can Indian Prime Minister say Trump is promoting peace. So is Trump promoting peace? He is supporting Pakistan. So he is supporting takeover of Gaza almost. So he has kidnapped the Venezuelan president. So he is threatening Cuba, Mexico, Brazil. All these countries are India's friends. So he is threatening Iran. So he has even threatened Europe also. His friendly nation like Denmark and Greenland. So our Prime Minister says Trump leadership is great for peace, stability and prosperity. So we should not come down to the Asim Munir's level. Asim Munir is praising Trump like that. He has even nominated Trump to the Nobel Prize. Right. Should India also do that? That's some serious questions. India is a great power, is an aspiring power. So we have withstood the sanctions in the last 70, 50 years. So India has grown despite American sanctions. American sanctions were there on our nuclear technologies, on space technology, on our missile technology, on our supercomputing technology. We have all along faced these sanctions. But still India has grown. America has was compelled to recognize India's strength. So why should we be vulnerable at this point in time? We are much better positioned now compared to 30 years ago, 40 years ago when America imposed sanctions on us.
Right. So does this deal help US diversify their supply chains away from other countries?
Well, we are not a very big, US is a big export destination for India, no doubt. But India is not such a big import destination for the United States. So it's true that US buys a lot of things from India, but it is also true that compared to India-US trade, China-US trade is many times more. So we are not the largest trading partner for US. US is one of the largest trading partner for India. So there are US-Europe partnership is there, US-China partnership is there. We are one among many. For us, US is certainly important, no dispute about it. So I think around 18% of India's exports go to US. So if I memory is right. So for example, more than 54% of India's software exports go to United States. So I am not denying the importance of United States. You can, in the modern world, no country can live without US. So that's not an issue at all. The issue is not to decouple with US. We have to de-risk from US. So we have to engage US, we have to have relations with US, we have to build win-win partnerships with US, but that cannot be from a position of weakness. It has to be negotiated from a position of strength. And never before India had such an opportunity, because today American allies like Canada, Europe, South Korea are fighting with US. So not just American rivals, American allies are fighting. So when American allies are fighting, why should India succumb?
So from 50 to 25, 25 to 18, so can we foresee zero tariff or a free trade agreement between India and US? And how do we see the future of the businesses in India in the next 6 to 12 months?
So both are interlinked. The future of businesses are linked to what kind of tariffs America will impose. Am I right? Both right. Your questions are interlinked. Right. So, if you read Trump carefully, I don't think even Trump can predict anything about himself. So Trump is highly unpredictable. He has gone up to 240% in relation to China. He has come down to 30%. Look at Europe. He has 10%, 12% to additional 10% to additional 25%. Again came down to 12% only. So this is the history of Trump. Trump is absolutely unpredictable, and you cannot ever imagine America allowing Indian export on zero duty, because that is not Trump. Trump make America great again theory says it doesn't allow such kind of a facility. You cannot have an equal partnership with US. US believes in master-client relationship. It doesn't believe in equal partnership at all. That to any country which demonstrates its vulnerability so openly. When you expose your vulnerability, United States will never do that, and Trump will never do that. Trump will only listen to strength. He has listened to China. Why? Because China responded with strength. South Africa, Brazil, Canada are responding with strength. Despite their vulnerabilities with US, they are more vulnerable to US than us. So Trump doesn't respect any country or any leader who sounds weak. So he only respects strong men. He respects Jinping, he respects Putin because they are very strong in their stand. So the moment you are vulnerable, America will make you more vulnerable. That is the character of American state. So it's extremely difficult in such a volatile economic situation, given the global headwinds and such a complex geopolitical and geoeconomical scenario, and that too as long as a maverick, ever wavering Trump at the helm of affairs in world superpower, greatest power. So Indian businesses should never think about predictability. They should be prepared to all kinds of scenarios.
Agree. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us today and providing your wonderful insights.
Thank you, Shashini. Thank you.